Italian Wine Podcast. Chin Chin with Italian wine people.
Hello, this is the Italian Wine Podcast. My name is Monty Waldin, and with me today is Gill Gordon-Smith, who's a wine producer based in McClaren Vale in Australia. Welcome.
Thanks, welcome. It's great to be here, Monty.
Now, just tell me straight away about what you've got planted in that little vineyard of yours in McClaren Vale.
So we have Nero D'Avola, Montepulciano, we have Carignano, and just halfway up Peters Creek Road up in Kaipo, we have Arneis.
So why did you go for these Italian varieties?
For a pretty good reason. I think that they're an intelligent response to what's happening with climate change in Australia. I also like to make wines that are lower in alcohol, and so I can make wines that are lower in alcohol, and I love acid. So it seemed to be a perfect combination.
So folks, if you're listening, you're 18 years old, when Jill says she loves acid, what she actually means is she loves wines that have an inner freshness.
That's right.
Okay, so this is the thing about climate change and global warming. Obviously, McClaren Vale is obviously a warm, climated region, but it's not boiling hot because you've got oceanic influences.
We do, and we're very close to the sea. But I think what we've been finding is we're a very sustainable region. We're really interested in finding varieties that actually work and give us, flavour and a little bit of an individual and unique perspective. And I think Italian varieties work with our lifestyle. McClaren Vale is very Italian-focused, whereas the Barossa is probably a little bit more German-focused. And these varieties suit our lifestyle, and we're looking for new varieties that are going to work there.
So when you say suit our lifestyle and McClaren Vale being Italian-focused, do you mean it's full of Italian immigrants, or it's full of Italian grapes put there by people like you?
No, we actually have a very, very high percentage of Italian people who settled in McClaren Vale from Molise and Abruzzo, but we also have a very Mediterranean lifestyle. If you've ever been to McClaren Vale, we're right on the coast, and we have great seafood. We've got an amazing sort of natural environment, and this is working really well for us, and I think it's giving us a point of difference.
So what's the advantage of planting those Italian grapes that you mentioned in terms of how they grow and make a wine that you don't have to mess about with too much in the winery to make something tasty?
They handle the heat, they're fairly drought resistant, and I can pick at I can pick with really good ripeness, but at a lower baume, so I can make wines of around 13.5% that still have flavour, have really good natural acidity, and are really good food wines.
Right, so what you're saying is that you're having the grapes, when they ripen, they do two things. They ripen their flavours and their sugars. The sugar obviously gets converted to alcohol. And you say that these Italian varieties are pretty good because the two things coincide with them.
Absolutely. And I'm just finding, because I make wines fairly minimally, so with minimal intervention, I can pick at a really good level of acidity and a really good level of ripeness and make very, very good food-friendly style wines with texture.
So McClaren Vale, for my money, is the most exciting region in Australia at the moment in terms of sustainability. That's very close to my heart, organics, biodynamics. Do you think McClaren Vale is going to get copied by other Australian regions? Well, hang on, if the guys and girls in McClaren Vale are starting out, do you think McClaren Vale will lead the way in Australia for people planting more Italian grape varieties?
I hope so. We have some, at the moment we have Fiano, Vermentino, Sangiovese, of course. We've had Coriol, who was the leader in planting those sorts of varieties. Montepulciano is doing really well. We have 33 Nero D'Avola producers now, which is pretty exciting.
Just in McClaren Vale?
In McClaren Vale.
Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really taking off. I was only there about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
no, I'm pretty excited about that.
And how do you sell those to consumers? I mean, Australia's cellar door wine, direct wine sales and wine is a big thing in Australia. How do you convince people, rather than buying their standard Shiraz or Merlot or Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc, you say, hang on, I've got a Nero D'Avola for you today, and then what the hell's that?
Let them taste them, educate them. So I think we're a pretty friendly sort of region and pretty open. And they said, we're not having a problem. I only make very small production, but we sell out, and we're in some of the best restaurants in Australia.
Do you get Australian producers knocking on your door as well to ask you what are you doing, how are you doing it?
I do, but we also, I have a small retail shop, and every Friday night I run tastings for small producers that don't have cellar doors, and we have a lot of the wine community and just the general public come along and try new varieties, so I really give them the opportunity to try those varieties. What's
the reaction normally when they just say someone has not tried a Nero D'Avola or a Fiano for the first time? What is their reaction? Is, oh, that's a bit odd, or oh, that's nice?
No, that's nice, but they always try and sort of put it into a box of, is this like a Shiraz or is this like a Chardonnay? So, yeah, they're usually pretty happy with it. I haven't had any problems whatsoever.
So, I mean, Australians, you are quite adventurous, aren't you, in terms
we are.
In terms
relaxed,
of buying?
Adventurous.
Yeah, so it's not like a really hard sell.
We don't do hard sell very well in Australia. I think we just want you to come along, have a drink, have something to eat, hang around. And these are the sorts of, with our seafood that we have, we have a lot of really great restaurants in the region. Yeah, people are pretty adventurous. I think the days have passed when everybody was sort of stuck in boxes of Shiraz and Cabernet, and hopefully people are realising that Australia is more than that. And McClaren Vale, with us, we've got a sustainability program that is a world class. We're actually going for World Heritage status at the moment with an agrarian landscape. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty exciting time for McClaren Vale.
When you come to Italy, which are your favourite regions and why?
Sicily. Just spent some time in Sicily and Sardinia and the Aeolian Islands last year. A lot of time in Tuscany. I'm pretty excited by most of the Italian regions, but especially Sicily and Sardinia.
Could you make things like a ripasso, like a sort of Amarone style where you are, or is that too difficult?
No, well, there's actually a really great producer called Colts Wines, and Mark Day specialises in Italian varieties. He worked for about 11 years here in Valpolicella and Soave, and he makes a true Amarone style with Shiraz. It's called the Pagan. It's really good. So, and we have a couple of producers doing Amarone styles. I haven't really thought about it.
It's always good to hear a wine producer recommending one of their rivals, and
oh, of course,
it's such a new world thing, isn't it? Every time you meet a new world winemaker, they're recommending their neighbour's wine, or
it's a pretty tight-knit community, and it's also, I think, just the Australian way to sort of, let everyone have a crack and have a go. And yeah, I'm pretty excited by what's happening in my region. Is
there a big learning curve if you plant an Italian grape variety rather than say Merlot or Chardonnay, that you've all gone through university in Australia learning about winemaking? You learn with Cabernet, Merlot, etc., Shiraz. How difficult is it to change your mindset growing something like Fiano or Sangiovese or Nebbiolo?
Well, we're learning. It's so new, we're still learning. And most people will talk to each other, growers, winemakers. We'll all share information. And each year we just get better and better. So, yeah, it's going to take some time, but I think we're really getting there. I'm pretty excited.
What are the main pitfalls been with the Italian varieties? Is it more about the marketing side rather than the growing
marketing,
side?
Definitely marketing. The grapes are easy. I mean, I've been out in the vineyard and you see in those really big heats we get, and you know how hot we can get in Australia. And we have, some of our traditional varieties, falling about, looking quite sort of dishevelled, and the Italians are perky and happy. It's just about, it's drought and water. That's our biggest issue. I mean, water costs a lot of money in Australia. So that's one of the, for irrigation. So Italian varieties, they're going to be, I think, bigger and bigger. I mean, we've got Greco at Langhorne Creek. We have Fiano. We actually have Sagrantino in McClaren Vale, which is pretty interesting. A very small amount. And what's great when I come over here is Italian producers are really surprised that we're actually growing those grapes over there.
But as you said earlier on, there are, the Italian diaspora is, California, Australia, maybe a little bit less New Zealand. But everywhere you go, you'll find Italian growing wine, right? So
absolutely. I mean, you think about Italy, everybody makes wine here. It's not, you don't have to be a wine producer. And we have the same thing happening in McClaren Vale. There's a lot of, shed winemakers. Yeah, I'm very happy, and we've just grafted over Grillo, which is pretty exciting. So I think that's really going to work. I spent some time in Sicily at De Bartoli and trying Palermo, Trapani, trying as many Grillos as I could, and I'm pretty excited about that.
So you're going to make Australia's first Marsala?
That'd be, oh gosh, I wish I could afford to. It's such a wonderful style, and just such a shame that it's sort of fallen away a bit, because I was really excited by Marsala.
It'll bounce
True
back.
Marsala. It's going to, definitely.
Yeah, I love the fact that you use the word smart with your Italian grape varieties. You can imagine them being these very well-dressed Italian grape varieties.
Absolutely.
And these Australian grape varieties, Australian French grape varieties, scruffy and ripped jeans and shorts and all the rest of it.
And the Italian varieties they work.
Italians, lovely tan.
Beautiful, perky and gorgeous.
Heat.
No sweating in the heat.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Perfect hair.
Yes.
A little bit of chest hair for the guys. Anyway, listen, brilliant to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And we will follow your Italian or Italo-Australian project with keen interest.
I hope so.
I hope to see you out there. It is, as you said earlier on, McClaren Vale really is one of the most dynamic regions on the planet. And,
it is.
Not just because of the Italian, but it's got another string to its bow.
And it's such a great opportunity to be here at VIA and actually learn from Ian Daggerton.
Did you get through the exam?
I passed.
Oh, well done.
This is my second shot. So I'm really happy, because now I can go back and I can talk to our growers and I can talk to our winemakers with a little bit more authority, because Ian's just such an amazing talent and somebody should learn from. I'm pretty excited to be here.
Great.
Good to meet you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you too. What a fantastic project.
Thank you.
Super duper. Thanks.
Follow us at Italian Wine Podcast on Facebook.